Hi, boys and girls. This is Ms. Kathy. I'm so happy you've joined me today for another story just for you.
What is it? As the Israelites began their trip across the desert, they knew that God was leading them and protecting them. They could see His cloud every day as it gave them shade from the hot sun. They could see it every night as it gave them light for their camp, but it was still hard for them to learn to trust Him. 3 days after they left the Red Sea, the travelers had used up all their water. It was a long, hot, thirsty day, but they finally came to a pool of water. As the first ones took a long drink, they coughed and spit it out. "This water is awful," they reported. "It's too bitter to drink." Even the animals wouldn't drink it. The people complained to Moses, "Why did you lead us here? We're going to die of thirst." But God had a plan. When Moses prayed for help, God said, "See that tree? Cut it down and throw it into the water." So Moses told the people what to do, and when the tree was thrown in, they tasted the water again. "It's perfect," the tasters cried. Soon everyone had a long drink of the cool, sweet water. The bright cloud led the travelers farther into the desert. Before long, they began to run out of food. The people forgot to trust God and complained to Moses again. "We were better off in Egypt. At least there we always had food to eat. Now we're going to starve." After talking with God, Moses and Aaron told the people, "Tonight and tomorrow morning you will see again that God is taking care of you. He brought you out of Egypt, and He will bring you food. He is the one leading you, not us. When you grumble and complain, you are complaining about Him." And while they were speaking, the people could see God's glory in a bright cloud. That evening, birds started falling out of the sky. Great flocks of quail, a desert bird, flew into their camp and landed. The people were able to gather them up and cook them for supper. Everyone had plenty to eat. The next morning, there was a strange dew on the ground. Thin, white flakes covered the ground like frost. "What is it?" the people asked. "It is food from God," Moses answered. "It will appear on the ground every morning to feed you. You can boil it or bake it into bread. Gather as much as you want, but only enough for one day. It won't stay good if you keep it, but God will give you more every morning." The people called it manna because that meant, "What is it?" in their language. It tasted sweet like honey when they baked it into bread or crackers. Everyone had plenty to eat each day, but the manna melted away in the sun. So some tried to gather extra manna and keep it for the next morning. But when they looked at it the next day, it was smelly and full of worms. On the 6th day, Moses told the people to gather twice as much manna. "Tomorrow is God's Sabbath. It is a holy day of rest. There will be no manna to gather tomorrow, so save your extra manna." The next morning, there was no manna on the ground. The people checked the extra manna they had stored. No worms, no bad smells. It was still good. There was plenty of food for all, and no one had to work to gather it. 6 days a week for 40 years, the Israelites gathered manna every morning and traveled. But every 7th day, every Sabbath, was different. It was a special day for them to rest and remember the God who was leading them and protecting them.
The story you have heard today is from the Shoebox Kids Bible Stories, written by Jerry D. Thomas and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.